Okay, day 21, meal number 2. And I have half of my pea milk left here. I'm from meal number 1. I'm going to have that. I have my wheel of nuts. I'm going to have a nut off of each of these. Here, I can't quite get it into the frame. I'm going to have one nut plus a banana, apple. That ends up being about a quarter cup of nuts. And I do have half of that little sandwich that I made. Here it is. It's half of the cheese, tuna fish, and bib salad sandwich. So I'm going to have this. That's going to be a pretty good second meal for the day. Feeling pretty good here. I'm taking a little bit of a breather. Saw some clients. I'm making sure that I'm being observant of a cycle of work, of rest, and play. Work, rest, and play. Now, I'm recollecting that years ago I did some training with someone named Rossi. Rossi was a prolific student of Milton Erickson. Milton Erickson was a very interesting person. He, as a young boy, had polio. And it's kind of a miracle that he actually survived. It was reported that the doctor came to visit at the house and said he wasn't likely going to make it till morning. So he heard that. And he asked that the dresser with the mirror be moved so that in the morning he could see the rising sun. He put his mind to that intention. And he lived the night and he saw the rising sun. And then as the story goes, Erickson, as this young boy, really paralyzed, began to imagine like what it would be like to throw a ball, and the feeling of the ball rolling off the tip of his fingers. Just that little bit of feeling. And he would practice that in his mind over and over and over. And that feeling of the ball rolling off his finger, he was finally able to get a little bit of movement in his finger. Well, that progressed to him watching his little sibling learning how to crawl. And in his mind, observing, watching, pretending that he was doing the same thing. Eventually, he was able to basically practice such that he was able to get some movement in his body, more movement in his body. He was able to crawl, then able to walk. But he always walked with a cane. And some years later in his life as a teenager, he decided he's going to take a canoe trip down a river. I'm not sure which one. I think it was the Illinois River. And he came to a place where there was a dam. And so he took his boat out of the water, and there was some people working inside the dam. It was set up as a power plant running big turbines. They invited him in. They invited him to stay the night. And he was amazed that they could talk with each other in kind of a normal tone of voice. He's yelling, trying to yell over the sound of the turbines turning. And he was amazed that they could talk with each other in a normal tone of voice. And in the morning, he woke up and he was able to do the same, to just have breakfast, talk with the workers, all this roaring in the background, and just in this little different vibration of a sound that's a quiet little sound amidst all of the roaring of the turbines. He was able to adapt through the course of spending the night there and to be able to tune into precisely the different wavelength that this quieter voice was on, and he was able to just communicate like these workers in the place, right? Well, years later, he became a physician, and he was well known to help a lot of people using the power of the mind to focus. Rossi was one of his students. There's a number of prolific students from the early days of Milton Erickson. He would set up shop in his house. He'd let people come, talk with them, let them observe him working with people, and through a process of storytelling, would help people come to a new kind of focus that would oftentimes relieve or release internal pressure or limited thoughts or thinking that would help them to feel more free and more capable and help them get to where they wanted to go. Now, Rossi, being an early student, one of the things that Rossi, in some of his perpetuation of Milton Erickson's work, one of the things I recollect him articulating was these sort of many cycles that we go through during a day, ultradian cycles. And I recollect Rossi talking about how the cells of our body go through a process of work and rest. Now, I don't know if they play. The cells of my body, though, are playing a lot. They're working and they rest and they play. In my mind, I have a whole village of trillions of cells of my body joyously working, like in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and like Whoville and Dr. Seuss. And it's I want to make sure that I'm not acting like Mr. Grinch there, right? That I'm like with the trillions of cells of my body, that I'm working along with them, harmoniously having fun while working and allowing myself to rest with them, and also playing, a little bit of play, right? Work, rest, and play. I remember Rossi talking about this in the early days when I did some training with some of the top students from the early days of Milton Erickson teaching. Work, rest, and play. So I just did a little work. I'm breathing. I'm inviting you to play with me a little bit around work, rest, and play. I'm having a playful sandwich of, it's breadless, cheese, tuna, and Bibb lettuce. I'm going to have, there it is right there. And I'm going to have some nuts. I'm going to have some pea milk made from peas right there. Where did it go? There it is. It's the half a cup I didn't have earlier. Right. Work, rest, and play. All right. I'll see you in a few hours.